Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. And sorry to keep you waiting. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I know people will probably be joining as they become available. Um, but in the meantime, thank you all for joining us. We're very, very thrilled to be able to do this webinar today. We or you're going to be hearing from Cassidy Burns, who we've worked with for many years. Cassidy is the owner of BPG Holdings, BPG Residential, very, very successful real estate agent, team lead. We've worked with Cassidy for many years. Recently, I met with him to film for my YouTube channel, and I learned that Cassidy owns over 60 real estate properties. So he definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to rentals and all that good stuff. So again, thanks for joining us. And Cassidy, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Leah. And I see some familiar names in the chat from my previous time and tenure at Compass, Keller Williams, Boyan, a developer. So thank you guys for coming. My name's Cassidy Burns, and today we're going to talk about turning your real estate income into rentals. And hopefully I'll just give you some tips on what I've done, what's been successful for me to hopefully start building a real estate portfolio yourself, and to give you just some options on what you can do when you are selling houses. There's got to be a means to an end. This business is very hard, and you are as good as your last sale. So I'm hopefully going to give you some tips on how to start building wealth while we're also doing good at our jobs, which is the selling and helping of buyers, sellers sell real estate. So let's go ahead and get started. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I do have a few people off of my team that are here that they can answer them as well. So thanks again for coming. So who is BPG? My name is Cassidy Burns, and this is going to be a lot of clicks here for me. So we're vertically integrated. We're a real estate investment firm that we have brokerage. So we have BPG Residential, which is our sales team. That's where I started. My business was residential sales. We have property management. We bought a construction company in 2023. So we're Class A and RBC and CBC, asset management and acquisitions. Our construction company is AVEC Construction. Property management is BPG Property Management. We're in DC, Virginia, South Carolina, and West Virginia. Our assets under management are above 55 million, and our goal is to be at $500 million by 2032. And that is third party and our own current assets. And we have 250 units under management. I own 104 of those units. So I started in real estate in 2016 and have slowly accumulated a portfolio of 104 rental units. I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and what I would have done if I could do it over again. So that's me. Let's get into, so before we get started, I want to please use the chat for this. So I have a few questions for you that I'd like you to answer and participate in the chat if you could. Who here is a real estate investor? Whether you, and I'm in the belief that if you own your primary residence, you are a real estate investor. So if you have a primary residence, just put yes or no in the chat for me. Do you have a investment property? Do you invest into REITs? Nick Bush owns one investment property. Yes, 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 no. Do you own commercial? Who here is a real estate investor? And if you aren't, that's okay, right? Now, what types of real estate, if you are an investor, are you currently invested in? Are you in residential, commercial, REITs? Do you invest into syndications and funds? Residential, do you do condos? Do you have single families? Just so I can get the lay of the land of who is in the room. Single family, residential, single family. Great. All right, next. Who here, if you're on this call, you probably are interested in growing your investment portfolio, whether that's buying your first property or investing your first dollar into investments, or do you want to continue to grow? And what is your goal with that? Nick Bush, I know you and I have talked about this a lot. And last question, what is your end goal with currently selling real estate? A lot of times when we first got into this business, we got into the business to be able to create our own schedule. We love commission-based jobs. And maybe you just love home. You just love real estate. And that was, for me, that was one of the biggest factors. I loved going to open houses. I loved real estate in general. But what is the end goal? Because in my personal opinion, I can't do that forever. And I'm going to give you some tips on what I've done because I'm not really in production. You'll see my name on listings, but mostly all of the production is handled by my team. Profit growth, personal gain, financial freedom, buying single family or small multifamily in Ohio and other than the Midwest. $20,000 cash flow. Nick, I love that. I think you have to have a number as your goal. You can't just say, I want to own X amount of rentals. And I'll give you an article on something I wrote here. Great. So everybody here wants to learn, is actively doing it. Let's give you some actionable steps. Okay. So how do real estate agents make money currently? All right. Seems like a simple question. Here's my team. So our team is, we have set 6 residential real estate agents and commercial real estate agents on BPG residential. But how do they make money? How do we actually make money in this business? Here they are. Residential transactions. So we're helping buyers and sellers. Residential leases. Maybe you're representing tenants or landlords. Referrals. Are you sending referrals to other people in other markets? JV partnerships with Allied Title, right? Revenue share if you're with brokerages that offer that, and stock options. Currently, we are with eXp Realty, so we get revenue share and stock options there. So these are the 6 ways that I believe that residential real estate agents make money, right? Does anybody have any other things the ways that they make money? Maybe you have referral fees to property managers, or you have referral fees, don't watch out for RESPA, to lenders, right? But this is how we make money. Now, where does the money go? Because how I'm gonna break this down is, obviously we have our expenses that we have to live on. We have our business expenses to run and grow our businesses, but there is a pool of money that every one of us should have that is strictly allocated to buying real estate. So where does the money go? So here is Cassidy Burns, residential realtor. Here, imagine your face in this bucket. Taxes, right? Living expenses, savings, investments, and then also fund. So here is my current recommendation for residential real estate agents of your breakdown of your income that comes in. Now, when I'm talking about this is your net profit. This is not, especially with your aside from taxes. This is not including your business expenses. Money comes into my account, business expenses are spent, and then all of this other money is allocated. So this is our net profit. And if you don't know that number, we need to have that conversation first, right? 35% to taxes, 35% to living expenses, 10 to 15% to savings. This is a forced savings account, your crap fund, just in case something goes wrong. This can be invested into a money market account, but it has to be liquid. 15 to 20% for investments. And then how you break that up between stocks, bonds, gold, Bitcoin, and then real estate is up to you. We're going to be talking about the real estate for that. And then your fund account, I do believe that you need to have We work really hard. You need to have an account for vacations, for fun, for splurging on that new car, whatever it may be. You need to have that, right? So let's talk about it. Now, what we're going to talk about is the 15 to 20%. Obviously, we have all these other expenses. You have to operate your life, living expenses, taxes, savings, and fun. What I'm worried about is that 15 to 20%. What are you doing with that bucket of money? And then what should you be doing with that bucket of money? All right. So let's talk about the different types of real estate that you can invest into. A lot of you seemed like you were in residential. That is natural because that is what we know, right? My goal of today is to give you other options and to maybe give you some different belief systems of what else you could do with that money. Residential, so single family houses, condos. Next, commercial rentals. This is office. This is retail. This is the coffee shop building that you go to. This is the office that you're operating out of. This is the small multifamily apartment buildings, which are very, very prevalent in DC, which some of you said that you're interested in. So that is your commercial rentals. You also could do self-storage as well. There's a lot of different options that go under this commercial rental umbrella. Next, fix and flips. I think that this is where a lot of residential real estate agents go because it's easy and it's what they know. But I've got a lot of opinions on this. But this is considered an investment vehicle, right? When you go and you buy a building and you're going to put money into that property to hopefully generate a return on investment. To me, that's buying yourself another job, and it's going to take away from your real job, which is selling and servicing clients, but that's up to you. Next, owning your and purchasing your own office that you currently operate out of. So this is for the business owners. We all, as 1099 individuals, are business owners. We're either paying rent, our brokerage is paying rent, or we own the building that we're in. I think this is a really good option for an investment vehicle. And finally, passive real estate investing. This is investing into funds, syndications. You still get access to these depending on the type of asset class that that fund and syndication is buying. But that is another form of real estate investing. So let's talk about residential. Why do we love residential? One, access. We have properties that may be off market. We know about a listing that's coming soon that we believe is a little bit undervalued. We're familiar with it, right? It's what we sell every day. We understand that that the comparables are based on the house that sold down the street. It's got predictable appreciation. The DC market, obviously, this historically, we've seen 2.5 to 3.5%. So it's very, very predictable. Depreciation, right? As 1099 employees and real estate professionals, we can take losses. With residential real estate, you're taking a loss at 27.5% or over 20, sorry, excuse me, 27.5 years of the building value. So if you own a building that is worth $1 million, this does not include the land, you'll be able to depreciate off and write off on your taxes 27,500. 15 to 20% down is the typical investment that you need to buy these rentals. Low cash flow, if any, right? As you guys know, with interest rates right now, residential real estate with your clients is very, very hard to cash flow, even if you're putting 25% down. With our clients and the investments that we're making, we're not seeing anybody see any paper gain cash flow if they put less than 50% down. So that's something to consider when you're investing into these. And they're very management intensive. So if you don't hire a property manager, residential real estate is very, very management intensive. Everybody good on residential? Any questions about it? Good. All right, we'll keep going. Next, commercial real estate, right? This is the office building. This is the retail. This is the multifamily. One of the reasons I love commercial is the cost seg studies are available. Cost seg studies is it's a tax depreciation where you're going to be able to accelerate the depreciation, meaning that you can take losses on that building and the structures that are inside of the building on an accelerated basis. Slower depreciation, that is a typo. It's supposed to be slower appreciation, right? So commercial real estate is a slower gain. Commercial real estate is not like residential. It's all based on cap rates and the value of the net operating income. So essentially the income that is produced on that asset. So if you have rents that are increasing every 3 to 5 years, the building value is not increasing until that rent increases. It's all based on the income that produces. Depreciation, 39 years. So in commercial, it's not 27 and a half. It's 39 years for the value of that building. But you also get the cost seg that you're able to execute on. Consistent cash flow, especially if you're buying triple net leases. Triple net leases would be something where you buy a Starbucks building and they are responsible for everything, including taxes and insurance, right? So it's consistent, it's predictable, but it's not going to be as high, and very, very low management. So this one's the easy one, but you need 25 to 35% down. So if you want to buy $1 million building, you need $250,000 to $350,000 in cash. That is a lot of $400,000 condo sales to save that. That's a lot of money to save. So this is very, very cash intensive, but it's going to be safe in terms of the appreciation and the cash flow. Good on commercial. Next. I really love this strategy. This is purchasing the building that you operate out of. We actually did this for BPG, all of our companies, and it's been a game changer for us. And a few reasons is the following. One, cost seg study. So the day that I bought this building, I was able to immediately depreciate all of the structures that were inside of it. The office chairs, the desks, the floors, the HVAC system, anything that's in there that is not structural, I could depreciate. So I was able to take, I think this particular building created a $450,000 loss for me the day we bought it. I bought the building for 1.6 million and it created a $400,000 loss. That's going to wipe out all of my commissions for 2025 plus some. So I'll be able to take that loss immediately, which means I won't be paying taxes 2025 because of that cost seg. Branding opportunity. We use this for meetups. We use this for signage on the outside of the building. So it helps our business, right? We can generate additional income from the sales. Guaranteed tenant. I'm probably not going to not pay myself rent, right? And you're going to have to pay rent anyways. Might as well pay yourself. It's a commercial building, so slow appreciation. We talked about that. The depreciation of the building is 39 years. No cash flow because I am the tenant, right? So it is now becoming an operational expense on my P&L for my brokerage business or my property management or however you decide to structure that. But you also can go through SBA, small business loan, and get a small business loan. So you can buy this building for 10% down. I brought $160,000 to buy this building. So I brought 160 in 2024. I wrote off 400,000. Right? Lots of savings in taxes. If you're at a 35% tax bracket, on that 400 grand, I would have to pay $120,000 in taxes. Right? So it makes a lot of sense, especially if you are trying to brand yourself. I really, really like this strategy because it's also lower money down. Who here owns their own office? If you guys could put that in the chat for me, I think that would be beneficial. A lot of people don't teach that to us as residential agents. Next, this one I hate for residential real estate agents because we're not good at it. You are not a developer. Unless you have a partner, you are not a developer. You should not be doing fix and flips. But I'd like to talk about it because a lot of agents, this is what they go to. It seems like as soon as an agent hits $10 million in volume, right? They sell $10 million in real estate at an average 2.5% commission. Your GCI is 250 grand, right? So you're saving some money. You're making good money selling real estate. They immediately go and buy a flip. They do one, they make money. They do a second one, they make money. They do a third one, they lose all the money that they made on the first two. It's like clockwork, but we still do it to ourselves because we like to feel relevant. If we're really good at residential sales, let's just sell real estate and do the options 1, 2, 3, and 5. All right. But here's the benefits and negatives of flipping. Large lump sum payments. There's no cash flow. You just get a payment when you sell and execute on the building. Business development for realtors. This is one reason I think a lot of people do it is because they buy it and then they become their own listing agent. So they'll list the property themselves. So hopefully they can make commissions on it, but maybe they generate 2 or 3 buyers from the open houses from their own listing. It's a guaranteed revenue source for you from a brokerage perspective. If you are doing flips, you should never waive your commissions for yourselves. You should be paying yourself commissions because that's how you should be underwriting those flips. No tax benefits. This is a short term in and out, so you don't get long-term capital gains. You can't do depreciation. Fix and flipping is a different business. It is a job. So you just bought yourself another job, right? And in my opinion, it's a very hard time intensive job. And you're probably going to need 25% plus down, and that's of acquisition price plus the rehab, right? So it's very capital intensive as well. So if you're doing a project, you buy it for 500,000, you're going to have to put 500,000 into it. You're going to need around 250 grand to buy this building. Does anybody do flips in here? We do them at BPG with our construction company. We're not great at them. We're not that great at them. But they keep the business, they keep revenue coming into the construction business. So it's almost a means to an end for us. Okay, so not many people do them. I think that is a good strategy. Next, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. This is where our company is going. We are an investment firm, so we raise capital. But if I would have known about this in my younger days, this is where I would have put all of my money, and I wouldn't have worried about building 100 plus units and buying single family houses and condos and all the such. Passive real estate investing. So this is when you're investing into a syndication or a fund with an operator who is buying the real estate. So you're a limited partner. So you get to take the tax benefits. You get to take advantage of the cost seg studies that they're doing on the buildings. You're getting consistent cash flow based on your preferred return. You have consistent appreciation just with the market. It's really dependent on the asset class that you're investing into. We have a multifamily fund and a commercial opportunity fund right now. Obviously, multifamily is a 2.5 to 3.5% appreciation. As you know, commercial is a little bit slower. Immediate depreciation, we talked about that. Sorry, I'm trying to see that. K1 income, so you can depreciate that income on your taxes because you're a 1099. Diversification. If we go back to the commercial slide, if you only own single family house rentals, this is the diversified investment because you're in a different asset class. And you can get started with as little as $25,000. So in one of our offerings, we have a $25,000 minimum, up to $1.5 million maximum. So it's a lot less capital intensive if you want to dip your feet and dip your toes into it. All right. So what I want you to do here, so this is a QR code of an article that I wrote with my recommendations. It's Rethinking Real Estate, Why Bigger Isn't Always Better. And I break down these 6 different asset classes: fix and flip, residential, commercial, passive, buying your own office. I think there are only 5. And what I think that residential real estate agents should do. This is just a screenshot of the article, but my investing strategy has changed over the years. When I first got into this business, I was buying single family houses, I was burning them, I was renovating them, I was keeping them. In January of 2025, I replaced 5 HVAC systems in my personal portfolio. 5, $75,000 worth of HVAC. And that was money that I had to come out of pocket. So that's something that you have to know when you're investing into these assets. They're not indestructible. And if you're buying individual properties, that money comes out. Yes, Allison, it was very painful. And that's just the start of it. When you own 100+ units, there's always something. I am paying a bill on a daily basis, multiple bills in most cases. But that was a really good example of $75,000 I had to write a check for HVACs in the month of January. I would have much rather invested that back into my business or invested that into more passive real estate. But I had to do it because you have to provide heating. So, anyways, QR code here for this article. I hope that it's helpful. I try to break down of what I think that every individual should do and the timeline that you should do it, and the order that you should do it. Oh, thank you. I'll let you put that in there. But the moral of this whole story is the key is just to get started. That 15 to 20% that we're saving for our investments, we have to make sure that we are deploying it. When I first bought my first rental in 2016, which was a condo in Washington, D.C., I used FHA financing, primary residence, lived there, house hacked it, moved out. I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to be in real estate. So the key is just to get started and make sure that you're using that 15 to 20% down to invest. My rule of thumb back in the day was every 6 houses that I sold, I was buying a rental property. Every 6 houses that I sold, I was buying a rental property. Now, if you want to buy commercial, you need more capital, right? So you have to have a different strategy. I was buying single family houses at that time. But the key is just to get started. All of these options are good options, right? Now, the passive real estate investing is the easiest, in my personal opinion, the best option for residential real estate agents. But if you feel like you want to build your own personal portfolio, Bojan, then you need to start now. How many subject to rentals have you done? I have done 3 seller financing deals, not any subject to, Boyan, and I do not own any Airbnbs. I am in the process of trying to buy a secondary home. So if you go back to that article, I think that the secondary home should be number 3 or 4 that you buy, because of the low money down. But I don't own any Airbnbs. All of my stuff is long-term rentals, because I'm building a portfolio for the future. Good question, though. Anyways, the key is just to get started. Pick an avenue, go down it. If you need help, reach out to us. Here's my contact information. That's my personal phone number. Text me. If you're interested in learning about some of the offerings that we have in the passive space, this is our investor portal, and you can take a look at what those properties are and the investments that you can make. We have a $25,000 and a $50,000 minimum. You can scan that. Leave it up there. And if you want to schedule a call with me to learn more and discuss more, you can scan this one. Give you those again. But that is all. I hope that's helpful. I hope that gives you a laydown of what you should be doing, where you should be putting your money, and what your options are. And I think the most important takeaway is there are other options than just buying residential real estate for us. Just because we're residential realtors does not mean we just have to buy residential real estate. The wealthiest people that you know probably own commercial or own large percentages of passive investments. Thank you guys very much. I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Cassidy, and thank you all for joining us today. I know your time is super valuable. Does anyone have any last minute questions or comments for Cassidy?
Hey Cassidy, I have one question.
Yep.
So we've chatted, of course, before about this, and you were like, "Hey, stay away from the single family. Try to go multifamily if you can." And then you just gave the example about HVACs and how management intensive those are. But do you feel like, and I'm looking at the Midwest, obviously, right? So like cheaper price point, similar price point as like Baltimore, just like a different type of tenant and more landlord friendly. Do you feel like though you kind of have to crawl before you walk? What I mean is like getting a bunch of single families to create like cash flow necessary to like buy a solid multifamily that's gonna create some passive income for you.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to that is there's only two ways that you can really save up money. You either earn it and then you save it, or you buy assets that appreciate that the market gives you equity, right? So you either earn the money and save it to buy the big multifamily, or you own the 1 to 2 single family houses and you 1031 exchange into the larger and mid-sized multifamily or the commercial. But just know, and like I know we've talked about this, you like the Midwest, you like them cheaper. The HVAC systems, they cost the exact same for $100,000 house that they do for $1 million house. Instead of looking at the price points, start looking at NOI, net operating income. How much income does this generate? And does that help me get to my end goal, which is 20 for you? I think you said $20,000 a month,
Yeah.
right? $20,000 a month. If you have $100 a month in cash flow on a single family rental, somebody help me.
You get what, 200?
That's a lot of you need to own 200 single family rentals that cash flow at $100 a month.
Yeah.
That's a lot of transactions. That's a lot of closing fees. That's a lot of title insurance policies. That's
Yeah.
a lot of HVACs. I don't like that strategy personally. And again, I've done that strategy. I've just learned from my own mistakes. So my advice would be start looking at net operating income rather than just doors and units. And if you read this article,
Yeah.
I kind of demiss it. That's what I'm talking about there. But yeah, if you, I mean, equity in houses to be able to 1031 exchange is going to be critical. So
Okay.
if you can't, that's why I like the primary residence 3.5% down as your, and then turn it into an investment. Low capital intensive.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Anyone else have anything for Cassidy? Don't be shy. You still got time. Nope.
I'll,
Thank you.
I'll ask one
Okay.
more question, actually, Cassie. Sorry.
Okay.
So it's a question probably for a tax accountant, but I'm curious how you structured it. What like like, what's kind of confusing me is like, obviously you buy property, you could buy it in LLC. So let's just say like go back to the single family example, or even a multifamily. I don't know. You buy with an LLC, and you could buy a ton of those with like individual LLCs. Or you can buy them under one LLC, but then there's obviously like an issue if somebody falls and you can get sued and everyone could take it. Do you do the holding company first and then the holding company owns everything, or like how are you structuring?
Yeah, good. So now eliminate all these taxes, living expenses, savings. Imagine my photo. This is my holding company.
Yeah.
This is my holding company here that then owns the ownership percentage in the new LLC, 123 Circle Drive. So Cassidy Burns LLC owns 100% ownership of 123 Circle Drive. That individual LLC is held off. This holding company is an S corp. That's how this holding company also owns 100% of BPG Residential, which is my sales team. It
Okay.
owns 100% of BPG Property Management. And all of that is separate as well. So, yes, I have it structured holding company and then all the different assets that are owned by that holding company.
Okay. Solid. Thanks.
Yep.
Any
Cool.
more questions for Cassidy? Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. And Cassidy, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. This was really, really well put together. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And
Thanks,
we
everyone.
love Allied over here at BP.
We appreciate you so much. Thanks, everyone. You
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of your day.